So I'm very pleased to have the invitation from RelNet, our distributor, to talk about the application intelligence solution. I believe that you will like that. So the good news for the beginning is that I will save you the presentation, so you will not see that many slides, because the main idea is behind the live demo, which I will show you in a minute. So and I hope you will enjoy that. So just going back slightly to the history, that was 2 years ago when we attended first the ITBN conference and the presentation for the mobile identity and access management. And we actually participated in the competition, and we won the award for the Best Foreign Innovation Award. That was the beginning. And we promised that time that the solution is not where we stand at that time, so we made a lot of further development. And now we are adding to the device visibility, we are adding the application visibility, which I will talk in a minute. And what's actually interesting, the trends you are facing now, it's the market drivers, all the cloud, big data analysis, and on the other side, you are under pressure. Just think about some two interesting numbers. That based on the recent studies, that the priority number one of CIOs is the improved data and analytics. On the other side, 67% of all the investment into the ICT is just to keep the lights on. Usually, if you look on your network, how the network looks like, is that you have your access network, you have the access and edge network, you have your core network, you have the data network. And usually that network, in order to be managed, protect, and adapt to the new needs, you have usually multiple management systems. That cost time, money, and people. So on one side, if you look, you are facing to have more and more various devices that are connected to the network. That was in the past, it was PCs, and now it's tablets, laptops, a lot of new devices. That was actually the topic I was talking 2 years ago on the conference. On the other side, and these users are connecting your application in your data center or the application somewhere in the cloud, somewhere in the internet. On the other hand, you have a big explosion of the data. IDC predicts that in next 6 years, the traffic will grow 50 times. So just think about the 67% of the investment that's going to keep the lights on, and now you have a 50 times growth of the data, while you have to keep the same user experience of the users that are accessing the network, and not only to keep the same user experience, but even to improve, because people are expecting to have better and better service. How do you handle that? So there is a time to change the thinking in order you as a guys responsible for the IT to handle all the traffic, have a visibility, and to be the partner of the organization. Because network is becoming the strategic asset, business asset, where all the traffic is go through. So the change, what is needed is actually to unify the network, unify the management systems in order to be able to scale and adapt to the future needs. And we are here the partner that Extreme Networks, because that's the history behind, and what I have not said, that I used to, since 2002, I was Enterosys, so 2 years ago I was Enterosys. And the company was acquired last year by Extreme Networks, that's why Extreme. And we, as a historically, working with the management system to know who is connecting to the network, who is doing that. So our approach is that with the current investment you do with the multi-vendor networks, to add the analytics functionality, to see the context, what's happening in the network, to be the right partner to your organization. So here we are talking about the network as a strategic asset, that if you understand what's happening in the network, you understand how the organization is performing, how it's working. Because this is a trend that all the business applications are now using the network. Not like 10 years ago, where the computing was made on the PCs, so the applications were on the PCs, but now it's more and more cloud-oriented. So now if you understand how the networks is behaving, you understand how the company is working. And you might be the trusted partner for your organization. So what is very important to understand the context and to use your current network, not to rip and replace the whole network, is to understand what is behind the port 80, understand what's behind port 443. So just to understand applications, not the ports. And this is we as a networking-based company, because we understand the network. So we might provide you with that context and visibility. So I will talk today about the solution that's called Purview. Purview is a network-powered business analytics tool, and it has 3 main concepts. If you talk to, so the first concept, the real use of that is a business analytics. I will show in a minute, because this is about the measurement, how the users, our clients, are using the network. If you have, for example, you are operating the SAP in your network, and you are paying a lot of maintenance, you can measure how many people are using SAP, how much do they use. If there are the people, they are more advanced users, so if you measure what data do they use in the network, you can understand that they are, let's say, the super users, while the many other users are not that skilled. So you might use some of these super users as a mentors, coaches to the others. So this is a business analytics, because that's what you talk about, the understanding of what applications, how the company is acting. That's the first aspect. The second, and a lot of people are talking about the user experience. And we are working with the flow-based technology. So we understand the context of the application flows. And with every application flows, which means the session you establish or the client establish, we can measure the application response time and the network response time. So immediately you know where the problem can be, if it is at the application or it is at the network. So which means that you can prevent that users or clients are calling to the help desk and screaming to the IT that the SAP is not working. Because you as a people responsible for that, you know that upfront. That probably the response time for SAP is maybe 1 second, 2 seconds, which is too much to accept that. So you can actually know exactly what's happening in the network. And the third aspect, it's a security. Because within the whole network, when you see the application flows, you might see immediately the applications are not wanted. They are not compliant with the policy, like the BitTorrents. So I promised not too much of presentation, so I hope I'll manage, because now I have only one hand. So first thing what I would like to show to you, so I'm connected to the network, so hope to the internet, I hope it will work. We are the official partner of the NFL Association for the application analytics. And this year's Super Bowl, that was run in New Jersey, which is a stadium based on Cisco technology, and we were analyzing all the traffic. So just for your information, the traffic is actually mirrored, just to see something, because it was in March. And we analyzed 3.2 terabyte of data, and there was over 4,000 applications. There was a bandwidth, 4 million flows, slightly less than 11,000 clients, 225 servers, and the overall network response time, and on the right side is application response time. So the main use case for this solution was to create the application visibility into the network to provide the report to the marketing, because then obviously they can sell that as a service. So this is just an example, just the illustration, what kind of customers we are working with. What might be for you more interesting is now I connect to the own network, and where I have a real data more, how to say, closer, what you are doing. So these are the data. They are collected in the last, so let me go back just to see for last roughly 24 hours. So the picture is slightly different. So you can see that storage makes almost 40%, web applications, peer-to-peer applications are doing almost 20%. This is our internal extreme networks part of the network. All the applications there are grouped into the groups like business applications, peer-to-peer, storage, streaming, and here we see the applications with the most use of the data, plus you see the network response time, application response time. So this is a dashboard. If you are the enterprise customer, we already have prepared dashboards like the enterprise dashboard. So this is the view of the, let's say, the managers or the network operations center, where you see immediately how much data are sent from the groups like social streaming, news, business applications and emails like SAP, Salesforce, Oracle, SharePoint. Here we have storage applications, cloud, and network protocols. This is just an example. I mentioned 3 aspects. So first of all, let me go to all applications flows, and this might be the protocol or the application that is not wanted. So I can easily go search for every BitTorrents they are in the network. So I see who is communicating with whom. I see the server port, application, peer-to-peer, application info, and some further information that is gathered from the NetFlow information. So this is a BitTorrent. I can easily select event, which means that if there is some kind of security event, I will send to the umbrella management like security information event management or to the service desk. So this is a security aspect. The other aspect I was talking about is a user experience. So let me go to the browser. And browser is the tool that helps you to search for different kind of information you want to get out of the database of all the flows. So there might be the use case that I want to see the 30, in the last 24 hours, I want to see the 30 slowest applications. I will submit. So on the right side, that in the last 24 hours, we will see, very shortly hopefully, 30 application response time. That's funny. That's what I see for the first time. Maybe the problem of the internet connection. Let's go back. Let's go again. Some problem with the refresh. Okay. I'll try once again. So in the meantime, I will go, maybe it's some problem with, I don't know why this had not showed. So let's go back to all applications flows. So what I actually did in the morning, I asked colleagues from RelNet to connect to my network and just to have it live, that is really live network. So that's why sometimes this happens. So I asked Istvan to connect his mobile phone to the network. He was connected for 4 minutes. I was connecting the access point. I opened one SSID, so he connected. And you can see that in 5 minutes, his phone generated about 100 flows. Istvan share. You can see that I'm not lying. And so there were the applications flows like Facebook, Google, DNS, DHCP, Google Ads, YouTube. Even he didn't know about many applications they were opened because he said he opened like 2-3 applications. So you can see the network response time, application response time. You see the location from where he was connected. And some more. So he connected from Android. Still doing the refresh automatic. So, and here you see the NetFlow information. What's kind of interesting, and I don't know if you were on the last 2 years, the presentation, we are talking about the mobile identity and access management. So what's very interesting thing is, and what you would be interested definitely in, that in addition to have the application visibility, you have to see exactly the context of the identity. So Istvan was connected by Android. He's disconnected because the access point is in my bag, because I need to power it, so it will not be that easy to connect now. And what I know, a couple of details I can click here, but what's interesting, it's a device fingerprint. And in device fingerprint, I can see a lot of details about the Istvan device. So what I see is Istvan Chir. He was authenticated by MAC address. He's disconnected. He got that kind of profile. Physical device identity, MAC address, IP address, hostname. I see the location. I see his activity when he was connected for the first time, last time. I see the details of the access points he was connected to. It's Android, it's not scanned, and it's approved. I can go to and look at the history of the connection. So if you have the database, you can have the half year back to check all the history, how it was connected. And more details, including the health results, if it is connected with mobile device management. The speaker that was before me, he was talking about the mobile device management, so there could be the information from AirWatch, Mobile Iron, and further details. So this is details about the every device. So these are the applications flows. I made actually the same, but now I showed you Istvan wanted to, so let's try to once again. Wait a second. Five minutes before the presentation started, it worked. I have no clue why the picture is empty. Anyway, let's let's use a different. So what I can go, if I go back to the reports and go to the dashboard, it's always the issue if you show that live demo, something might happen. So it's actually interactive. So if I go to the information like Netflix, I can use the right button and I can see the slowest clients for Netflix. So if I go and see the slowest clients for Netflix, now this is actually the page what I would like to see. So this is only one user that is using Netflix at the moment, and this is the average application response time. I can use the other application which might be interested in. Let's find something interesting. For example, LDAP. Slowest clients for LDAP. So and here I see that there are a couple of clients that are using the LDAP as the application, and Demo 2 has a problem with the application response time. So they are actually the information is showing me the response time on the network, which is how to work with the user experience to predict certain problems in the network. So if there is some application that does not have the correct response times, so you know immediately whether the problem is on the application or is in the network. So instead of usually creating 3 trouble tickets, which the client is calling to the help desk, I have a problem with SAP. Usually you open 3 tickets. So if you know immediately where the problem is, then you can open the ticket only directly on the SAP as the application or on the server on the network, because you know exactly where the problem is. If it is a problem of SAP, if it is a problem of individual client, for every application that is going through the network. So you can plan, avoid the bottlenecks in the network, because when you know that the problem is in a certain segment of the network, then you can say this part of the network is not capable enough, I have to upgrade that. So this is giving you the view. Let me try the last attempt. So application, maybe I will try from the network response time. Something happened in US, because this is a problem of. So I will do the different ways. So I will use the application response time, and I remember that usually I'm showing the application DNS because it's something I can show. So I want to see that somebody was complaining or there was a problem with DNS as an application, not as a protocol, but as an application. And I want to see 30 clients with the worst application time for DNS. I hope it will show. Yeah, now it shows. That's the picture that should be shown actually. So now I see, because usually DNS would be among the slowest applications. I don't know what happens. It's some temporary problem. So now I see there are a couple of users, they have a problem with DNS, which one of the client is KAD, it's at Steve, some Mr. Popescu. If I go to the right, if it's some of them, I already see the device fingerprint, some more details about the username, device family, and profile. So when you start to troubleshoot, and you know there is a problem with the application, certain, what do you like to see? Let's take the client with the name KAD. It's an English keyboard. And I want to see what applications KAD has a problem with. So, and I see that KAD has problem only with DNS, not with Windows Update, CIFS, NetBIOS, and so on. So this is a way how you narrow the problem in the network. So if you see there is some problem with certain application, could be Oracle, could it be SAP, with that browser, you will narrow the potential problem and go directly to the root of the problem. The last thing what I would like to show, and one of the unique ways of this solution is that at the moment we recognize around 7,000 applications. And we have 13,000 fingerprints. So like Google might have 60, 70 different application fingerprints. And some of you might be familiar with, if I take Adobe Ads, for example, and I just put the fingerprint definition. So here you can see it's pretty easy to write the fingerprint to recognize certain applications. And especially customers, they have a proprietary application. They really like that because they don't have to go to the vendor to write certain fingerprint to understand the applications. So which is pretty flexible and open to adjust to the local needs, local specifics of every customer. So this is just shortly the live demo of the application solution. So let me go to, actually I have not shown to one thing. If I go back to the reports, one other thing what we might be interesting in is the top application tree map. So maybe something which would be interesting for the management, that in a certain period of time, which is this one. So if I take last 24 hours, so in 24 hours, this is some kind of map of applications. We did, last week, we did a proof of concept for Czech Army in terms of their internet use, and they realized that really a huge amount of traffic are the applications that is not wanted. I will not be specific because it's a camerate, but the thing is that that kind of map will show you that if you are close to the upgraded network, then you might see that there are the applications you see from the bandwidth point of view is not the one that should be in the network and consume your bandwidth. You can see the same from the client's point of view. The map is completely different. So you see all the applications there using different clients. Always you can click always to the right click and see what users are using that. You can do from flows, which is important from the network topology point of view when you design the network, the view from flows. So this is just something what I. So if I go back, there's a couple of last things what I want to discuss. So what is the difference in traditional solutions? Why we are talking about the breakthrough technology? So first of all, we don't need, and probably you understand that we don't need to deploy any agents. So we are able to get that information right from the network without need for installing anything else. So we are able to every application flow to add the context, to see the visibility to every user, to the details. Who is that? Not only IP address, which usually you get from the firewalls. So firewalls usually tell you that's the IP address. You see behind the IP address. So that's the user role, location, time, device, and more information. The second thing is the application and network performance monitoring, which is very important to measure SLAs for your applications. Or to tell that that application is not used, why I should pay the maintenance for. The number of fingerprints, so I mean the amount of applications we are able to recognize in the network, you can deploy into the whole network. So we are able to scale in, let's say, in one, if we call the sensor, to 2.5 terabits per second. So just to give you an example with the NFL, so you can see that it was really huge deployment, but we have a small deployments where we deploy to the data center or just as a sensor to the network. It depends really if you can put it into the core, into the data center, or if you use it just as a sensor for the visibility in the network and make just the application audit. Because some of our partners are offering that as the application audit. It's a really port independent application decoding. This is what you see, that's the full DPI technology. So it's why we are talking about the terabit speeds. And it's single architecture for the whole network, so you can deploy data center to the core as a sensor or to the edge, and the scalability, what I said. So actually just before I end, I think one interesting use case, which I think it's worth to mention here, it's application intelligence is part of our software-defined networking. A lot of people are talking about that. That is a trend. We in Extreme Networks are having a solution for software-defined networking for years. We just did not call that software-defined networking because the intelligence is in the management. You saw it. You saw the management, and then we are able to deploy that in multi-vendor environment. I told you about the Super Bowl. We have that deployed, for example, in Volkswagen, so which is not with our infrastructure. And we are able, if we are able to understand the context of application in the network, we are just launching a very nice integration with Microsoft Link. Maybe some of you know how the Microsoft Link is working, but we have a solution when we recognize the application flow that is belonging to Link communication. We exchange the information in between our management and the Link server, and we are able to deploy the quality of service in the existing infrastructure.